This is your host, Dub FFG, your fantasy football GOAT strategist. How's it going today? As today, we're going to talk about Week 13. Without hesitation, let's get to it. First up, we got Trevor Lawrence versus the Bengals. Now, Trevor Lawrence and the Jags, they're leading the division, so they're on a roll. So keep him in the lineup, keep him steady. If you have Calvin Ridley, definitely combo him with Calvin, and you should get a great outcome, as well as if you have ATN as well. If you have either of those two combos, you're in great position. Keep him in the game. Next up, we have George Kittle. Now, George is playing against the Eagles. Big game Sunday afternoon, the late game at 4:25. This is going to be a very, very intense game. But Kittle and the 49ers are going back to Philly. This matchup with Kittle versus the Eagles defense is a great one. Why? Because the Eagles defense is 23rd versus the tight ends. Eagles pass defense is their weakness, so Kittle should eat big. Next, we're looking at Tua Tagovailoa versus the Washington Commanders. Again, Washington, bad team. And Tua and the rest of the Dolphins, they're still dangerous, so they should eat very well in this game. Keep your Dolphins skilled players in the game, and Tua is the biggest one this week that will eat big. He's still dangerous. Keep him in the game. Next up, we're talking Jalen Hurts. Jalen versus the 49ers, big matchup, big game as we mentioned earlier. 425, tons and tons, or I say millions of people should be tuned in because this is going to be a big one. Jalen is a fantasy stud. Regardless of who he's playing, how tough the defense is, he still should be a must start. Of course, most of you already know that, but I still see from time to time, I still get questions from time to time, online and off, who should you start at quarterback? And when I listen to them, I'm saying these guys are your studs. Why would you ever bench them? Regardless if you're standard, PPR, 10 teams or less, or 10 teams or higher. Jalen Hurts is a must start. He's big time in big games. Always start him. Next, on the IDP side, we're looking at Quincy Williams versus the Falcons. The Jets' Quincy Williams and CJ Mosley is a dynamic duo at linebacker, but Quincy Williams is the must start this week at linebacker. He's a tackling machine, and the Falcons are looking to get their running game more and more on track. This is going to be big for a linebacker like Quincy Williams. Start him, no matter what. Next, looking at the Dolphins defense versus the Commanders. Again, Washington is a bad team, and there's nothing more to be said. The offense is going to do well versus the Commanders, and the Dolphins defense are going to do well. So both teams should score big, particularly from a fantasy perspective. Put the Dolphins in the game, let them feast on the Commanders. Next, we're looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, they haven't been in our hot reads for a while. So this is a favorable matchup for them. They're going against the Cardinals. The Cardinals have the 23rd ranked offense in fantasy. The Steelers as a team, they now have new life. Being that they've had some infighting, particularly in the locker room, the Steelers have now seemed to be a little bit more focused. How far that takes them, it remains to be seen. But this week, start them against the Cardinals. Here's a word from our sponsors. When you look in the mirror, do you see a GOAT? Are you the best that fantasy football has to offer? If so, then wear it on your chest. Fantasy Football GOAT Strategies has new arrivals for the new fantasy season. See the link in the description or scan the QR code. Pick up your gear now. Fantasy Football GOAT Strategies. Week 13. Now for Week 13, let's reflect real quickly back to Week 12, where we had an 88% success rate. That's great. Again, as we said, we're still hot. So you may want to stick with us and keep moving along and winning your leagues and winning your games. So Week 13, this week we're talking about the 13th power. That 13th power lies within you. If you've ever seen the movie, The 36th Chamber of Shaolin, you know what that movie's about. You're the center of the circle. The light is in your hand. From a martial arts perspective, understand it as Bruce Lee once said, absorb what's useful, discard what is not, and add what is uniquely your own. That's you. That's the power and dominion of 13, to have power and dominion over things that matter to you or to things that affect you. That's you. So for Week 13, you've had 12 previous weeks to get everything together. Now you're there. Just slight adjustments keeps you going forward. Be the center circle. Be the power and center that you need for your team to progress. Shine the light. You're the light bearer. Till next time, this is your host, Dub FFG. Chess mind, poker face. We'll see you soon. Question. Is your NFL team winning the Super Bowl this season? If so, then you better get your new gear for the new season. NFL Shop is providing with your new favorite team's apparel this season. Use the link below or scan the QR code to see a huge inventory of NFL teams apparel. Discount codes will be available throughout the season, so use the link. Shop now.